Welcome to the complete animation of Master Tigress from Kung Fu Panda 3, which released in 2016. It's actually surprising how many, animal movies, animated movies came out in 2016. There was The Jungle Book, Zootopia, Sing, Rock Dog, this movie. There was a lot. And I'm going to be honest, when I first saw this movie back in 2016, I didn't think very highly of it. I don't know why, because when I rewatched it just recently, before I made this complete animation, I really enjoyed it. It's like something happened in those 5 years that made it so that I really enjoyed this movie. And I think that even though I enjoyed a lot more, I'd still put it as my rank 3 in ranking the three movies in this franchise. I would put the second movie, Kung Fu Panda 2, as my favorite. And then my next favorite would be the first, and then finally the third. But I have learned to enjoy the third a lot more. And I think that this is probably a good swan song for the franchise, because, it's like media franchises don't need to go on forever. If there's not an incredibly good story you want to tell, or if there's not a new thing that you want to do in the world, it's okay to just sort of let it rest. In this world of franchises and reboots and reimaginings and crossovers, it's easy to think that a high-quality franchise like this has to continue to have entries in order to be properly maintained. But I disagree. It is just fine to let a franchise be. You don't need to constantly be going forward with things. That said, if they did make a Kung Fu Panda 4, I'd probably watch it, because I would hope that it would live up to the legacy that the rest of the movies had. And speaking of the entire franchise, I know that there are animated shorts and direct-to-video things and TV series, and I plan on actually watching those. It's like, I don't know. I watched the first episode of a TV series, and after the initial jarring just impact of seeing these beloved characters rendered with, let's be honest, a mere fraction of the budget. It's like, when it comes to animation, budget, you can see what the budget is. You don't have to look up online how expensive was this to make. You can just look at it, and just looking at the quality of the assets, especially in 3D animation, it's really simple to just look at it and see what the budget of the production was. And so in a TV series, where the entire series, like an entire season of a series, will have a budget that doesn't even come close to the budget of a feature film, you can see why the quality has to dip down so low. But in a movie like this one, where basically every frame of the movie could be taken as a still and look incredible, yeah, it's easy to see why movies like this cost so much. But anyway, I watched that first episode of the TV series, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It's like, yeah, the textures and the models were a lot lower quality. The camera work wasn't as sophisticated. The lighting was flat. But the actual animation, the way they made characters move, was pretty competent. Nothing on the level that that this movie has. And the the story that it told was actually kind of fun. And after a while, you get used to the new voice actors because basically James Hong is the only original voice actor that they got to reprise his role. And, I'll always take an excuse to listen to James Hong voice act a character because he's just awesome. I especially like his role in Mulan and Diablo 3 of all things. But yeah, so Kung Fu Panda 3, I feel like they didn't use Tigress enough. And I think that's just because we got spoiled by her presence in Kung Fu Panda 2. In Kung Fu Panda 2, it was basically Tigress was the secondary character. It's like all three of these movies, Po is the main character. But in the second movie, she was definitely the major other character protagonist. But in this one, she doesn't get enough time to shine. And it's a shame because I think that she's one of the strongest characters in the series, and her use in the second movie is one of the reasons why it was so good. Although I will say I really enjoy her new outfit. It's like there was nothing wrong with her old one, but her new one, I feel like it better encapsulates her growth and story arc. Because before, she was a bit more, especially in the first movie, she was a bit brash, more self-centered, and quick to action. And her outfit showed that. It was lean, it was form-fitting, there wasn't anything that got in her way. But in this movie, she has sleeves, kind of billowy sleeves, and I don't know what you call that when the sort of loose bits of fabric that hang from her front and back between her legs. I don't know what those are called. But and I feel like part of the reason why they were comfortable going with this change is because the technology has increased to make it so that cloth is more acceptable. Because if I've learned anything about 3D animation, it's that cloth is one of the hardest things to do. It just is. That's why in video games you never see characters changing clothes. Whenever clothes change, it's just a instant swap of models. It's like the day that you see a 3D video game where a character is animated getting ready for bed, They're taking off their pants and their shirt, and then they put on their pajama pants and their pajama shirt, and then they get under the covers and the sheets. It's like, when that happens, you'll know that 3D animation has really arrived, because that is hard to do in 3D and make it look good. And so the fact that they gave Tigress these, frankly, pretty billowy sleeves shows how confident DreamWorks was in 2016 that they would be able to pull it off. And they did. And I'm sure that there are plenty of animators who worked on the character who just threw up their hands on several occasions and said, "Ugh!" Because I'm sure that there were some times when those cloth physics gave them troubles. So, back to this movie. I think that back in 2016, I think the reason I didn't enjoy this movie as much as I might have is because I felt like the story that this movie told did not feel like a good follow-up to the big reveal at the end of Kung Fu Panda 2, where it showed that Poe's father was alive and that he knew that that Poe was alive. And while I do think that this movie didn't quite live up to that ending, this movie's grown on me. So yeah, Kung Fu Panda 3. A better movie than I originally gave it credit for. A good ending to the cinematic franchise. And I will probably do more with the straight-to-video stuff in series. Thanks for watching.